Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate to have come through Newtonmore SHinty Club, Newtonmore sort of first team at that time, and certainly international level as well. There was a vast array of phenomenally talented players. I guess looking more at club level, you know, again, I've mentioned Norman's name. Norman, you know, is the sort of, you know, defending, you know, he's just an exceptional defender. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he goes about his business with sort of dignity. But you know, if you look through that Newtonmore team at that time, you know, Paul MacArthur used to play in the same wing as myself when I was kind of covering the wing back spot. And you know, when you build connections with people and understanding with people, I mean, that's a massive part of it. So he would always be, you know, looking to make himself available for me to slip the ball to. And you know, again, guys I grew up with, Jamie Robinson, all these kind of big, strong, robust players. But when you look to our forward line at that time, when you had, you know, a Danny McRae, a David Chain, you know, Glenn McIntosh sort of laterally moving up into those positions, we had guys that just sort of, you know, found the net. Not so much in the early days when we were struggling to get those wins, but certainly, you know, towards the kind of the peak times, if you like. David Chain with a stick and a ball is a sight to behold. You know, there's not very much he can't do, to be honest. It's quite frustrating in training, obviously, but Danny's goal scoring ability was tremendous. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I think, as a standardised answer, as a Newtonmore man, any local derby was by far, you know, the kind of most enjoyable and kind of the biggest build-up to any game that I ever played in. Of course, if I had to pick one of those local derbies, I think we've already discussed it, but that would have been the 2011 Camanachd Cup final. Yeah, it's a bit of a no-brainer, I think, that one. That's tricky, you know. If you think back, I suppose looking at first team career-wise, I would pick three. So Fort William at that time were a serious force. They'd played in 8 Camanachd Cup finals back to back, I think of which they'd won maybe 5. So you know, they were a serious team. Kingussie, obviously we were dealt sort of some pretty hefty blows and were at the hands of some pretty horrible defeats to Kingussie around that time. More so relentlessly because we were probably kind of holding our own in most of those games, and in the last 10 minutes Kingussie would just turn things round and run away with a win. But I think over the course of my final kind of playing seasons in the first team, I think Kyle's Athletic probably would have been maybe the biggest sort of or the most hardest the hardest team to kind of beat as such, because they just had such a sort of physicality. You know, their fitness was phenomenal, and their want and will to just keep running all day long. They never really knew when they were beaten, and I guess going back to the 2011 season when they beat us with about 3 minutes left on the clock in the Macaulay Cup final, that was pretty devastating. So between the three, it'd be hard to call, but maybe just Kyle's, I guess, just the number of times he put us out in Scottish Cup draws down there and stuff as well. Favourite player of all time is a really tricky one, because you know, a lot of the Newtonmore greats that you know dominated SHinty, I didn't really get a first-hand opportunity to see a lot of those, in which case it probably would have been easy to pick one. And without just trying to pick one of my good friends, I think for me, I would have to say Danny McRae. And the reasoning behind that is that pretty much nearly every medal I've got in my collection probably came thanks to Danny. Danny scored so many important goals in so many important games that I probably would be nowhere near as decorated if it wasn't for him. So I guess Danny McRae.